The transport ship disappeared into the gray sky, leaving only the sound of howling wind across the ice. Dr. Kim Nari stood at the observation window of Research Station Alpha, watching the last connection to human civilization vanish into the storm clouds above Kepler-442c. She pressed her hand against the cold glass and tried to understand what had just happened. 3 hours ago, the emergency evacuation alarm had screamed through the station corridors. Corporate had decided the mining operation was no longer profitable. Everyone had 15 minutes to grab essential items and board the transport.NA. I had been in the deep labs when the alarm sounded. She ran to the landing pad with her research bag, but the transport was already sealing its doors. Through the viewing port, she saw her colleague Dr. Song Hyun waving frantically at her. The pilot was shouting something about weight limits and corporate orders. The ship lifted off before she could reach it. Now, she stood alone in a research station designed for 50 people, on a planet where the temperature never rose above -30 degrees. The nearest human settlement was 4 light-years away. Nari walked through the empty corridors of the station. Her footsteps echoed in the silence. The emergency lighting cast strange shadows on the walls. Most of the equipment had been hastily shut down during the evacuation. Only essential life support systems were still running. In the communications room, she tried to send a distress signal. The main transmitter was offline. The emergency beacon had enough power for maybe 10 days of transmission, but it only had a range of 2 light-years. No human ships traveled through this sector anymore. She checked the food stores. 3 weeks of emergency rations remained. The water recycling system was working, but the heaters for the living quarters were failing one by one. She would have to move to smaller sections of the station to conserve power. Nari set up her temporary home and laboratory too. It was small enough to heat efficiently and had access to the main computer systems. She pulled her sleeping bag onto one of the work tables and arranged her few possessions around her. The first night was the hardest. The station creaked and groaned as the metal contracted in the cold. Strange sounds echoed through the ventilation system. Every noise made her think something was moving in the empty corridors. She tried to keep busy during the following days. There was plenty of work to do. The terraforming project had left behind valuable research data that needed to be preserved. She organized files, backed up experiments, and sent compressed data packets through the emergency beacon. On the 4th day, she made an interesting discovery. The mineral samples she had been studying showed unusual properties. The crystals found deep in the planet's ice contained a form of energy storage unlike anything in human technology. The structures seemed to grow in perfect geometric patterns, almost as if they were designed rather than naturally formed. Nari spent hours examining the samples under the microscope. The crystals had a blue-silver color that seemed to shift and change depending on the angle of light. When she applied electrical current to them, they stored the energy and released it slowly over time. The efficiency was remarkable. She began to suspect that these formations were not natural minerals at all. The patterns were too perfect, too organized. They reminded her of circuit boards or computer processors, but made from living crystal. Instead of silicon. Her excitement about the discovery helped distract her from the growing cold. More heating units failed each day. She moved her equipment into the smallest lab and sealed off the rest of the station. The walls were covered with frost now, and her breath formed clouds in the air. On the 8th day, the main power generator started making worrying sounds. If it failed, she would have maybe 6 hours of battery power left. After that, the life support systems would shut down. Nari worked frantically to repair the generator. She was a terraforming engineer, not a mechanic, but she understood the basic principles. The problem seemed to be in the fuel delivery system. Ice had formed in the lines, blocking the flow. She spent hours with a heating torch, carefully melting the ice without damaging the delicate components. Her hands shook from cold and exhaustion. Several times she had to stop and warm her fingers before they became too numb to work. Finally, the generator coughed back to life. The lights brightened, and warm air began flowing through the vents. Again, Nari collapsed onto her sleeping bag, exhausted but relieved. That night, she noticed something strange happening outside. The aurora displays in the sky were more active than usual. Bands of green and blue light danced across the horizon. But there was something else, something that did not match the typical patterns of magnetic field interactions. The lights seemed to pulse in regular rhythms, almost like signals. They formed geometric shapes that reminded her of the crystal patterns she had been studying. Triangles, hexagons, and complex spirals appeared, and dissolved in the atmospheric display. Nari grabbed her recording equipment and documented the phenomenon. The patterns repeated every few hours, always the same sequence of shapes and pulses. It could not be natural. Something was generating these signals. Over the next few days, she noticed other odd things. The electromagnetic readings from her instruments showed regular fluctuations that corresponded to the aurora patterns. The seismic monitors detected faint vibrations deep underground, too regular to be natural geological activity. Most unsettling of all, she began to feel like she was being watched. When she looked out the windows, she saw nothing but ice and rock. But the feeling persisted, especially at night when the aurora displays were most active. On the 12th day, a massive storm struck the planet. Wind speeds reached over 200 kilometers per hour. The station shook and rattled as ice and debris hammered against the walls. The noise was deafening. Nari huddled in her makeshift shelter, listening to the storm rage outside. The lights flickered as the generator struggled to maintain power. She checked her supplies again. 8 days of food remained, maybe 10 if she rationed carefully. The storm lasted for 18 hours. When it finally passed, an eerie silence settled over the landscape. Nari looked outside and gasped. The storm had reshaped the terrain around the station. Huge chunks of ice had been moved, revealing dark stone formations underneath, but what caught her attention was something else entirely. About 50 meters from the station, the ground had split open. A long crack ran across the frozen surface, disappearing into darkness below. The edges of the crack glowed faintly with the same blue-silver light she had seen in the crystal samples. As she watched, the crack seemed to pulse with inner light. The rhythm matched the patterns she had observed in the aurora displays. Deep underground, something was responding to her presence. Nari grabbed her scanner and stepped outside into the freezing air. The readings were off the charts. Massive energy signatures were coming from below ground, concentrated along the crack in the ice. Whatever was down there, it was big and it was active. She knelt beside the crack and shined her flashlight into the darkness. The beam reflected off crystalline surfaces far below. The walls of the underground space were covered with the same geometric patterns she had found in her samples, but on a much larger scale. As she watched, the lights below grew brighter. The pulsing rhythm increased, becoming more urgent. It was almost as if something was trying to communicate with her. Nari backed away from the crack, her heart racing. She was not alone on this planet. Something had been here all along, sleeping beneath the ice, and now it was waking up. The ground shook beneath Nari's feet as she stood near the glowing crack. Deep rumbling sounds came from below, like the earth itself was groaning. She stepped back toward the research station, her scanner beeping wildly with energy readings she had never seen before. The crack began to widen. Ice fell away in chunks, revealing more of the crystalline walls below. The blue-silver light grew brighter, casting strange shadows across the frozen landscape. Whatever was down there was coming up. Nari ran back to the station and grabbed the emergency flare gun from the supply cabinet. She did not know if it would help against something that big, but it made her feel slightly less helpless. Through the observation window, she watched the crack continue to expand, a sound unlike anything she had ever heard echoed across the ice. It was not quite a roar, not quite music, but something between the two. The sound seemed to vibrate through her bones, making her teeth ache. The station's metal walls rang like bells in response. Then she saw it. A massive head emerged from the crack, followed by a long neck covered in scales that shifted between ice blue and silver. The creature was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Its head was the size of a small vehicle, with large eyes that glowed with the same light as the crystals. The being pulled itself up through the crack with surprising grace. It stood 12 feet tall on 4 legs, with wings folded against its back. Its entire body seemed to be made of living crystal and metal, catching and reflecting light in patterns that hurt to look at directly. Nari pressed herself against the station wall, trying to stay hidden. The creature turned its massive head toward her hiding place, those glowing eyes fixed on the station windows, and she knew it had seen her. The being approached slowly, each step making the ground tremble. When it reached the station, it lowered its head to look through the main window. Nari found herself staring into eyes that held an intelligence older than human civilization. The creature made that strange musical sound again, softer this time. The station's computer systems flickered and sparked. Then, impossibly, words began to appear on her workstation screen. "Small warm one, why do you disturb the deep quiet?" Nari stared at the message. The creature was somehow interfacing with her computer systems. She moved to the keyboard with shaking hands and typed a response. "I am Dr. Kim Nari. I was left here by accident. I mean no harm." The being tilted its massive head, studying her through the window. More text appeared on her screen. "Accident. This word has no meaning in the deep quiet. All things have purpose. You wake Velthik from the long sleep. This has purpose. Velthik, is that your name? Name is small word. Velthik is identity song purpose being. You are Nari small warm disturber. Why do you stay in the cold place when your kind has left?" Nari explained her situation as simply as possible. She told Velthik about the mining operation, the sudden evacuation, and how she had been accidentally left behind. The creature listened, occasionally making soft harmonic sounds that seemed thoughtful. "Your kind takes the crystal networks from the deep places. This causes great pain to the world song. Velthik wakes because the harmony is broken. I study the crystals. They are unlike anything we have seen before. They seem almost alive. Not alive, more than alive. They are the memory song of Velthik's people. The Kithara placed the crystal networks in many worlds before the Great Quiet came." Through careful questioning, Nari learned more about Velthik and his people. The Kithara had once been guardians of many worlds, using their crystal technology to store and share energy across vast distances. They were peaceful beings who helped planets maintain their natural balance, but something called the Silence War had nearly destroyed them. The few survivors had gone into deep hibernation on scattered worlds, waiting for conditions that might allow their species to recover. Velthik had been sleeping for over 3,000 years. The human mining woke you up. Yes, the taking of crystal networks creates discord in the world song. Velthik must wake to tend the harmony, but the long sleep has damaged the life systems. Without repair, Velthik will return to the final quiet. "You mean you are dying? Death is too small a word." Velthik fades like song echo becoming silence. Nari felt a strange sadness for this ancient being. She asked what kind of repair he needed. The answer was complex, involving chemical compounds and energy frequencies that human science barely understood. But some of the elements he mentioned were things she could synthesize with her terraforming equipment. "I might be able to help you, but my equipment is failing. The cold is damaging everything." Velthik sees this. The small warm one grows cold quiet. Like the world, this must not be. The massive being moved to the side of the station where the main power conduits ran. It placed one clawed hand against the wall, and suddenly the lights grew brighter. Warm air began flowing through the heating vents more strongly than it had in days. "How did you do that?" "Crystal networks store and give energy. Velthik teaches them to share warmth with small warm one. But this is temporary song. Without repair to both Velthik and small warm one's tools, the harmony fails." Nari realized they were in the same situation. Both of them were slowly dying on this frozen world, but together they might have a chance to survive. She had technical knowledge and equipment that could help Velthik heal his damaged systems. He had energy manipulation abilities that could keep her equipment running. We could help each other. "Yes, this has purpose song. Velthic has not felt such harmony in the long quiet. Small Warm One has unique thinking patterns, different from other Warm Ones Velthic remembers. Over the next few hours, they worked out a basic cooperation plan. Nari would modify her chemical synthesizers to produce the compounds Velthic needed for healing. In return, he would use the crystal networks to provide stable power to her equipment. The first test came when her main heating unit failed completely during the night. The temperature in her shelter dropped quickly toward levels that would kill her within hours. Velthic sensed her distress and connected to the crystal formations around the station. Suddenly, the walls themselves began to glow with soft warmth. The crystalline formations that had been hidden under the ice revealed themselves as part of a vast network that covered the entire area around the station. Under Velthic's guidance, they shared their stored energy to create a bubble of warmth around Nari's shelter. This is incredible. Your people built all of this. Not built, grown. Crystal networks are living thought made solid. They learn and change and remember, like Small Warm One's thinking tools, but with deep time wisdom. Nari spent the rest of the night studying the energy readings from the crystal network. The efficiency was beyond anything human science had achieved. The crystals did not just store energy, they improved it, refined it, and shared it in ways that created more power than they consumed. Velthic, this technology could change everything for humanity. We struggle to find enough energy for our growing civilization. Energy is not taken or found. Energy is shared and grown through harmony. This is why crystal networks exist. But Velthic's people learned that sharing knowledge requires great care. Some species use such gifts for discord instead of harmony. You mean they use it as weapons. Weapons is too small a word. Some species use power sharing to silence other songs permanently. This is why the Silence War began. This is why Kithra chose the long sleep instead of teaching the violent ones. Nari understood the implication. Velthic was taking a great risk by sharing his knowledge with her. If humans proved to be another violent species, he would be helping to create the same disaster that had nearly destroyed his people. How do you know I will not use this knowledge to harm others? Velthic does not know. But Small Warm One chooses to help dying stranger instead of taking crystal networks for escape. This choice has harmony song. Perhaps some warm ones remember the old ways of sharing instead of taking. As dawn approached, Nari successfully synthesized the first batch of chemical compounds that Velthic needed. When he absorbed them through his crystalline skin, his glow became brighter and more stable. The improvement was small, but noticeable. The healing song begins. Velthic feels strength returning. Small Warm One has great skill with the thinking tools. And you saved my life with the crystal networks? I think this partnership might actually work. Partnership. This word has good harmony. Velthic has been alone in the deep quiet for too long. Small Warm One brings new songs to the world harmony. But their cooperation had not gone unnoticed. As they worked together that morning, Nari's sensors detected something troubling. There were energy signatures approaching the planet from deep space. Something was coming, drawn by the activity of the awakened crystal networks. Velthic sensed it too. His harmonic sounds became urgent and worried. The discord makers have felt the world song changing. They come to silence the new harmony before it can grow strong. Who are the discord makers? Those who consume energy instead of sharing it? Those who bring the final quiet to living worlds. Velthic's people called them the Devourers, but they have many names across the star songs. Nari looked at her scanner. Readings, whatever was approaching was massive and moving fast. They had maybe 2 days before it arrived. Can we hide from them? No, the crystal networks sing too loudly now, but perhaps Small Warm One and Velthic together can make new harmony, songs the discord makers do not expect. For the first time since being stranded on the ice world, Nari felt hope. She was no longer alone, and neither was Velthic. Together they would face whatever was coming. Nari and Velthic deepened their partnership, combining human technology with Kithra knowledge to create revolutionary hybrid systems. As they work together to repair equipment and enhance the station's capabilities, Velthik reveals the tragic history of his people and their near extinction by the Zephyrian devourers. Together, they develop a plan to awaken other Kithara and create a network of cooperation, but their activities draw the attention of a Zephyrian scout ship. The next morning, Nari woke to find the research station completely transformed. The walls glowed with soft blue light from crystal formations that had grown overnight. Her breath no longer formed clouds in the air. The temperature had stabilized at a comfortable level for the first time in weeks. Velthik's massive form stood outside the main window, his crystalline scales catching the aurora lights in the sky. When he saw her moving around inside, harmonic sounds filled the air, and text appeared on her computer screen. Small warm one rests well in crystal warmth. Healing compounds work strongly in Velthik's life systems. Partnership song grows stronger. Nari smiled and typed her response. Good morning, Velthik. The crystal heating is amazing. My equipment is working better than it has in days. This is small beginning. Velthik wishes to share deeper knowledge with Nari friend. But first, must strengthen the joining harmony between your thinking tools and crystal networks. Over the following hours, Velthik guided Nari through the process of integrating her technology with the Kithara crystal systems. It was like learning a completely new language, but instead of words, she was learning to think in energy patterns and harmonic frequencies. The first breakthrough came when she successfully connected her computer directly to the crystal network. Suddenly, her processing power increased 100-fold. Complex calculations that would have taken days now completed in minutes. The crystal network was not just storing her data, it was actively helping her think through problems. This is incredible. It is like having 1,000 computers working together. Crystal networks are grown from Kithara thought patterns. They hold memory of many minds working in harmony. When Small Warm One connects properly, she shares in ancient wisdom songs. Nari began to understand how the Kithara technology worked. It was not just advanced engineering, it was a form of collective consciousness made solid. Each crystal formation contained the memories and knowledge of the beings who had grown it. When she interfaced with the network, she could access thousands of years of accumulated learning. Her next project was repairing the communications array. The system had been damaged during the evacuation, but with Velthik's help she could do more than just fix it. They could enhance it beyond anything humans had ever built. Crystal networks can carry thought songs across vast star distances. If Nari friend permits, Velthik will teach the making of deep space harmony speakers. You mean we can contact other star systems directly? Yes, but more than contact. Crystal-enhanced thinking tools can share knowledge patterns in full harmony. Other warm ones could learn from Nari friend's memories as clearly as if they stood beside her. Working together, they rebuilt the communications array using a hybrid of human technology and Kithara crystal networks. The new system could transmit across interstellar distances instantly, something that should have been impossible according to human physics. But Velthik explained that the crystal networks existed partially outside normal space-time. They could share information through dimensions that humans had not yet discovered. The Kithara had used this technology to maintain contact between their scattered colonies across the galaxy. Velthik, how many worlds did your people live on? Before the Silence War, Kithara attended harmony on 10,000 worlds. Now, Velthik knows of perhaps 50 where the deep sleep continues. Most were found and silenced by the Discord makers. Nari learned more about the tragic history of the Kithara. They had been peaceful energy cultivators, helping young civilizations develop sustainable technology. But their success had attracted the attention of the Zephyrians, a species that consumed entire worlds for their energy. The Discord makers do not understand harmony sharing. They take energy until worlds become cold quiet, then move to new hunting grounds. Kithara tried to teach them balance, but they chose consumption over cooperation. So your people went into hiding, not hiding, waiting. Kithara hoped that someday species would emerge who remembered the old ways of harmony. Species who could share knowledge without destroying those who gave it. The war between the Kithara and Zephyrians had lasted for centuries. The Kithara were advanced, but they were not warriors. They had never developed weapons of destruction, only tools of creation and healing. Against an enemy that specialized in consuming and destroying, they had been slowly overwhelmed. The final choice came when Zephyrians discovered the location of Kithara homeworld. Rather than allow the Discord makers to consume the great crystal networks, Kithara chose the long sleep. They scattered to hidden worlds and waited for harmony to return to the galaxy. And now you think humans might be that harmony. Small warm one. Shows promise. But Velthek must know, when Nari friend returns to her people, will they choose sharing or taking? Will they use crystal networks to help other species or to dominate them? It was a fair question, and Nari was not sure she could answer it. Human history was full of examples of advanced technology being used for conquest and control. But she had also seen humans capable of great cooperation and sacrifice. I cannot speak for all humans, but I can promise that I will try to teach them what you have taught me. That harmony is stronger than domination. This promise has good song pattern. Velthek will trust in Nari friend's wisdom. They spent the next day testing their enhanced communication system. The first transmission was sent to the nearest human colony, 4 light years away. Using conventional technology, the message would have taken 4 years to arrive. Through the crystal network, it arrived instantly. The response came back within hours. The colonists were amazed to receive a real-time message from the abandoned mining world. They had already sent a rescue ship, but it would not arrive for several months. We have time to prepare, Nari said. When the human ship arrives, they will see what we have accomplished together. Yes, but Velthek fears other arrivals will come first. The Discord makers grow closer. Their hunting songs are strong in the deep space harmonies. Nari checked her enhanced sensors. The approaching Zephyrian ship was indeed getting closer. Her new crystal-enhanced systems could detect it clearly now. It was massive, easily 10 times larger than any human ship. Can we hide from them? Hiding is no longer possible. Crystal networks sing too loudly with new harmony. But perhaps Nari friend and Velthek can make them understand that cooperation is stronger than consumption. You want to try to communicate with them. Zephyrians understand only strength, but strength has many forms. The Discord makers know the strength of taking and destroying. They do not know the strength of sharing and growing. Together they began to prepare. Using the crystal networks, they created defensive systems around the research station. But these were not weapons in the traditional sense. Instead, they were harmony pattern generators that could disrupt the energy consumption methods the Zephyrians used. If Small Warm One's people are truly ready for harmony sharing, they will understand. If not, Velthek's harmonic sounds carried sadness. Then Velthek has chosen wrongly, and the Discord makers will silence both Kithara and human songs. As they worked, Nari began to understand the true scope of what they were attempting. They were not just trying to survive an attack. They were trying to prove that cooperation between species was possible, that ancient wisdom and new ideas could work together. That harmony was indeed stronger than discord. The test would come. Soon, the Zephyrian ship would arrive within a day. Everything they had built together would be put to the ultimate challenge. Velthek, are you afraid? Fear is natural song when facing the Discord makers. But Velthek also feels hope harmony. For first time in 3,000 years, Kithara is not alone. Whatever comes, we face it together. Nari looked out at the crystal formations glowing around the station. Human technology and Kithara wisdom had created something beautiful and powerful. Now they would discover if it was strong enough to survive contact with those who chose destruction. Over creation. Together, she agreed. We face it together. The aurora lights danced overhead, but now Nari could read their patterns. The crystal networks were singing, sharing information across vast distances. Other Kithara were beginning to wake on distant worlds, responding to the harmony song of successful cooperation. Whatever happened next, they had already achieved something remarkable. They had proven that two very different species could work together, could share knowledge and strength without destroying each other. The Zephyrian ship was detected entering the outer system. The real test was about to begin. "Nari friend," Velthak's message appeared on her screen. "Prepare for discord makers. Show them what harmony can do." She took a deep breath and began the final preparations. Human ingenuity and Kithara wisdom would stand together against those who chose to consume rather than create. The Zephyrian scout ship arrives expecting to find an easy target, but instead encounters unprecedented hybrid human Kithara defenses. Nari and Velthak's first battle together showcases the power of their alliance, combining human adaptability with ancient energy manipulation. Their victory proves cooperation can overcome superior technology, but mercy toward their enemies may have far-reaching consequences. The Zephyrian scout ship emerged from hyperspace like a dark storm cloud. Overlord Thrakis stood on the command bridge, studying the energy readings from the small ice world below. The signals were all wrong. This was supposed to be a simple energy harvest, but the patterns showed something impossible. "Commander, the world song is twisted," reported his sensor officer. "There are harmony patterns where there should be only consumption echoes." Thrakis studied the displays with growing anger. The readings showed Kithara crystal networks, but they should not exist anymore. His people had spent centuries hunting down the last of those harmony singers. Every Kithara world had been consumed, every crystal network silenced. Scan deeper, find the source of this discord. On the planet's surface, Nari watched the massive ship through her enhanced sensors. It was larger than a city, covered in dark metal that seemed to absorb light. Weapon ports dotted its hull like hungry mouths waiting to feed. "Velthak, they are scanning us. What should we do?" "Let them look. Discord makers see only what they expect to see. They will not understand the new harmony songs until it is too late." The hybrid defense systems they had built together were unlike anything that had existed before. Human engineering provided rapid adaptation and creative problem-solving. Kithara crystal networks offered ancient wisdom and unlimited energy manipulation. The combination created defenses that could learn and evolve in real time. Thrakis ordered his ship to approach the planet. His energy-draining weapons charged up, ready to begin the consumption process. But when the first wave of drain beams struck the surface, something unexpected happened. Instead of being absorbed, the energy was redirected through the crystal networks. The power flowed into new patterns, creating defensive shields that actually grew stronger under attack. The more energy the Zephyrians tried to drain, the more powerful the planetary defenses became. "This is impossible," Thrakis snarled. "No. World can resist the great draining, increase power to maximum." But Nari and Velthak had prepared for this. Her human understanding of physics, combined with his knowledge of energy manipulation, had created something the Zephyrians had never encountered. Their weapons were designed to overwhelm and consume. They were not designed to fight an enemy that could turn their own power against them. The crystal networks began to sing. The harmony spread across the planet's surface, creating patterns of light that confused the Zephyrian sensors. Every time their targeting systems locked onto the source of the signals, the patterns shifted to new locations. "Small warm one's thinking patterns are very strong," Velthak observed. "Discord makers cannot predict the random harmony songs." Nari was indeed thinking in ways that made no sense to the Zephyrian battle computers. She would start defensive patterns in one location, then suddenly shift them to completely different areas. Her strategies had no logical progression that enemy systems could analyze and counter. This was the key advantage humans brought to the partnership. Kithara thought in ancient, deep patterns that were wise but predictable. Zephyrians thought in consumption patterns that were efficient but rigid. Humans thought in chaotic, creative bursts that could adapt to any situation. Thrakis realized his standard tactics were failing. He ordered his ship closer to the planet's surface and deployed hunter pods to locate and destroy the source of the resistance. The small attack craft spread across the ice, scanning for the crystal network control centers, but Nari had prepared for this too. She had created false signals throughout the planetary grid, making it appear that control nodes existed everywhere and nowhere. The hunter pods chased phantom targets while the real defenses remained hidden. Velthic, can we communicate with their ship? Discord makers do not listen to harmony songs. They know only the language of strength and consumption. Then we need to speak their language, but in a way they do not expect. Instead of trying to destroy the hunter pods, Nari and Velthic captured them. The crystal network surrounded the small craft with energy fields that drained their power without harming the crews inside. The pods fell gently to the planet's surface, their systems disabled but their occupants alive. This act of mercy confused Thrakis more than any weapon could have. Zephyrians always fought to total consumption or total destruction. They did not understand an enemy that chose to spare defeated opponents. Why do they not destroy our warriors? He wondered aloud. What do they gain by keeping them alive? On the planet, Nari was asking herself the same question. But Velthic understood. Small Warm One shows Discord makers a new possibility. That victory does not require silence of the defeated. This choice song may plant harmony seeds in their minds. The battle continued for hours. Every attack the Zephyrians launched was absorbed and redirected. Their most powerful weapons became fuel for the planetary defenses. Their smartest battle tactics were countered by Nari's unpredictable human thinking. Finally, Thrakis realized the truth. His ship was not fighting a world defended by Kithra technology. It was fighting something entirely new. The harmony patterns included elements he had never encountered before. There was another species involved, one that thought in ways his people could not predict. Withdraw to safe distance, he ordered. Prepare the deep consumption cannon. If we cannot drain this world slowly, we will consume it all at once. The massive weapon at the front of his ship began to charge. It was designed to crack open planets and devour their entire energy content in a single blast. No defense had ever withstood the deep consumption cannon. But Nari and Velthic were ready for this final attack. They had spent the entire battle preparing for the moment when the Zephyrians would use their ultimate weapon. The crystal networks had been storing energy from every failed attack, building toward a single massive response. When the deep consumption cannon fired, the entire planet seemed to come alive. Every crystal formation glowed with brilliant light. The energy beam struck the surface and was immediately caught in a web of harmonic patterns that spread across the entire world. Instead of destroying the planet, the weapon's energy was transformed. The consumption force became creation power. New crystal formations sprouted across the ice. The aurora displays in the sky became a symphony of light that could be seen from orbit. Thrakis watched in amazement, as his most powerful weapon made the enemy stronger instead of destroying them. His ship's instruments detected energy levels that should have been impossible. The planet was now generating more power than his entire fleet could produce. This is beyond discord, he whispered. This is harmony beyond anything the ancient Kithra achieved alone. A new message appeared on his communication systems. Text in perfect Zephyrian language, but carrying undertones of harmony that made it impossible to ignore. We offer you a choice, Overlord Thrakis. You can continue to consume worlds until the galaxy is empty and cold. Or you can learn to share energy and create instead of destroy. We are willing to teach what we have learned if you are willing to listen. For the first time in his long life, Thrakis felt uncertainty. His people had always believed that consumption was the only way to gain strength. But he had just witnessed power beyond anything they had achieved through their methods. He looked around his bridge at his crew. They were all staring at the energy readings, seeing something that challenged everything they believed about how the universe worked. Signal the fleet, he said quietly. Tell them we have encountered something new, something that requires further study. His ship began to withdraw from the planet. But instead of retreating to launch a larger attack, Thrakis found himself wondering about the offer he had received. What would it mean to create instead of consume? Could his people learn these new harmony songs on the planet's surface? Nari and Velthic watched the Zephyrian ship disappear into hyperspace. Do you think they will return with more ships? Perhaps. But Velthik believes the harmony seed has been planted. Thrakus felt the strength of cooperation for the first time. This feeling will grow in his mind, creating questions where there was once only certainty. And if he brings back an entire fleet, then we will teach them all the same lesson. The harmony is stronger than discord. That creation is more powerful than consumption. That two species working together can achieve what neither could accomplish alone. Nari smiled as she looked at the glowing crystal formations around the research station. They had done something remarkable. They had not just survived an attack by a superior enemy. They had shown mercy to their defeated opponents and offered them a chance to change. The test of their alliance had proven something important. Human creativity and Kithra wisdom really could create something greater than the sum of their parts. But more than that, they had proven that strength did not have to come from domination. Velthik, do you think other Tithra felt what happened here? Yes, the harmony song of victory carries far through the crystal networks. Others of Velthik's people will begin to wake, hoping that the time of hiding is finally over. And somewhere in human space, monitoring stations had detected the energy signatures of the battle. Ships were already being dispatched to investigate what had happened on the forgotten ice world. The alliance between two species was about to become something much larger. News of the alliance spreads through both human space and the dormant Kithra network, creating mixed reactions. While some embrace the potential for cooperation, others see threats to their established ways. Captain Li Jinho arrives to investigate, becoming the first human military officer to witness human Kithra cooperation firsthand when a Zephyrian battle fleet attacks, forcing all three species into a complex battle that will determine the future of galactic civilization. The harmonic pulse from the victory over Thrakus spread through the galaxy at speeds faster than light itself. Crystal networks that had been silent for thousands of years suddenly awakened, carrying the song of successful cooperation between species. On dozens of hidden worlds, ancient Kithra began to stir from their long sleep. In human space, monitoring stations detected the massive energy signatures from Kepler 442c. The readings were impossible according to known physics, but they were undeniably real. Emergency meetings were called in colonial governments across three sectors. Admiral Park Min-ho studied the reports in his office on the military station orbiting New Sol. The energy levels detected from the abandoned mining world were higher than anything human science could produce. If hostile forces had developed such technology, it represented a threat to human civilization itself. Send Captain Li Jinho with the Soul's Pride, he ordered. Full battle group escort. If there are aliens on that world, we need to know their intentions. But the response was not only military. Dr. Song Haeyun, the researcher who had escaped during the evacuation, was reviewing Nari's data transmissions with growing excitement. Her colleague had not just survived on the ice world. She had made the greatest scientific discovery in human history. She is describing technology that could solve our energy crisis, Song told the Emergency Science Council. Crystal formations that store and amplify power beyond our theoretical limits. We need to establish contact immediately. The reaction in human space was divided. Colonial governments saw the potential for unlimited clean energy. Military commanders worried about alien threats. Corporate interests, led by the Stellar Mining Corporation, viewed the Kithra as obstacles to profitable resource extraction. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, other awakened Kithra were having their own debates. Some, like Velthik, believed that cooperation with younger species might offer hope for their people's survival. Others remembered too clearly the destruction that had driven them into hiding on the world called Sanctuary 7. The ancient Kithra named Morvithus emerged from his crystal cave with deep suspicion. His harmony song reached across space to connect with Velthik's network. Young harmony singer, why do you wake the old sorrows? The warm flesh species bring only discord and consumption. Better to remain in the deep quiet than to risk another silence war. Elder Morvithus speaks from old pain, Velthik replied through the crystal network. But this small warm one is different. Her thinking patterns show true cooperation, not domination. Together we create strength that neither species could achieve alone. The debate spread through the awakening Kithra network. Some supported Velthek's experiment with human cooperation. Others demanded that all contact be severed before it brought destruction to their remaining refuges. On Kepler 442c, Nari was monitoring these conversations through her enhanced communication array. She could sense the fear and hope warring in the ancient species. The responsibility was overwhelming. Velthek, your people are afraid because of what they learned about other species in the past. How do we prove that humans are different? Actions speak louder than harmony songs. When other warm ones arrive, their choices will show their true nature. Velthek hopes they will choose cooperation over consumption. The first human ship arrived 6 days later. Captain Li Jinho commanded the destroyer Soul's Pride, accompanied by 2 frigates and a science vessel. As they approached the planet, their sensors detected energy readings that made no sense according to human physics. "Captain, we are detecting a massive power grid covering the entire planet's surface," reported the science officer. "The technology appears to be crystalline-based, but it is far beyond anything in our databases." Jinho was a careful commander who had survived 3 border conflicts by thinking before shooting. The energy signatures were clearly alien, but they showed no signs of hostile intent. If anything, the patterns seemed almost welcoming. "Open a communication channel to the planet's surface. Let us see if Dr. Kim is still alive down there." Nari's voice came through clearly, stronger than should have been possible from a simple emergency transmitter. "Captain Jinho, this is Dr. Kim Nari. I am alive and well. I have much to show you." "Dr. Kim, we are detecting massive alien energy signatures from your location. Are you being held captive?" "No, Captain. I'm working in partnership with a being called Velthek. Together we have developed technology that could change the future of human civilization. But I need you to approach peacefully. My partner has had bad experiences with military actions in the past." Jinho studied the energy readings again. If Dr. Kim was working willingly with aliens, and if their technology was as advanced as it appeared, this could indeed change everything. But his orders were to secure the planet and assess any alien threats. "Dr. Kim, I am bringing my ship down to the surface. We will approach with weapons powered down as a sign of peaceful intent." As the Soul's Pride descended through the atmosphere, Jinho and his crew got their first look at the transformed landscape. Crystal formations glowed across the ice, connected by networks of light that pulsed in complex patterns. It was beautiful and obviously artificial, but not threatening. The ship landed near the research station, and Jinho led a small team outside. They were met by Dr. Kim, who looked healthier than someone should after being stranded for weeks on an ice world. Behind her stood the most magnificent creature Jinho had ever seen. Velthek was 12 feet of living crystal and metal, beautiful and clearly intelligent. His harmonic sounds filled the air, and text appeared on the portable computers, the humans. "Carried, welcome, new warm ones. Velthek greets you in harmony. Small warm one Nari speaks well of her people's potential for cooperation." Jinho stared at the message, then at Nari. "Dr. Kim, is this alien being responsible for your survival?" "We are responsible for each other's survival, Captain. Velthek was dying when I found him. I was freezing to death when he found me. Together, we have created something neither of our species imagined possible." She led them on a tour of the hybrid technology systems. Jinho's engineers were amazed by the integration of human and alien science. The crystal networks amplified human technology beyond its normal limits, while human adaptability allowed the ancient Kithara systems to evolve in new directions. "This could revolutionize everything," whispered his chief engineer. "Unlimited. Clean energy, faster than light communication, defensive systems that grow stronger under attack." But their peaceful first contact was interrupted by urgent warnings from the Soul's Pride. Long-range sensors had detected a large fleet approaching the system. The energy signatures were completely alien, unlike either human or Kithara technology. "Jinho, recognized the threat immediately. Zephyrian battle fleet. 15 ships, heavy class, they will be here in 6 hours. Veilthak's harmonic sounds carried distress. Overlord Thrakis returns with greater discord makers. They mean to silence the harmony song before it can spread further. Nari felt fear for the first time since the partnership began. Can we defend against that many ships? Not with current harmony patterns, Veilthak admitted. But perhaps if Worm One warriors join the cooperative song, new possibilities emerge. Jinho faced the most important decision of his career. His orders were to assess alien threats, not to cooperate with them. But the approaching Zephyrian fleet represented a clear danger to human space. If these energy-consuming aliens could destroy the advanced Kithra, they could certainly threaten human colonies. Dr. Kim, can your partnership technology be adapted to military vessels? It should be possible, but it requires trust on both sides. Veilthak would need to interface directly with your ship's systems, and if we refuse to cooperate, then the Zephyrians will consume this world and move on to human space. They see all species as potential sources of energy to be harvested. Jinho looked at his officers, reading the mix of fear and determination in their faces. They were outnumbered 5-1 by an enemy with superior technology. Their only chance was to trust in an alliance between species that had never worked together before. Do it, he decided. Integrate our systems with the crystal networks. If we are going to die defending this world, we might as well die trying something new. The next few hours were a frantic race against time. Veilthak guided human engineers in connecting the Soul's Pride to the planetary crystal network. The integration was unlike anything they had ever attempted. Human technology and Kithra systems had to learn to work together at the most fundamental level. When the connection was complete, Jinho felt the change immediately. His ship's sensors could suddenly detect energy patterns across vast distances. His weapons could tap into the unlimited power of the crystal networks. His defensive systems could adapt and evolve in real time. But most importantly, he could feel the harmony song that connected all life in the network. For the first time, he understood what Nari and Veilthak had discovered. Cooperation really could create strength beyond what any single species could achieve. The Zephyrian fleet arrived as predicted. 15 massive ships designed for consumption and destruction, led by Overlord Thrakis seeking to prove that his previous defeat had been a fluke. But this time he faced not just a single Kithra and a human engineer. He faced the first truly integrated human Kithra military force in galactic history. The battle that followed would be remembered as the moment when cooperation proved stronger than consumption, when two species showed the galaxy that harmony could overcome discord. Jinho's ship, powered by crystal networks and guided by ancient wisdom, danced between the massive Zephyrian vessels like a fighter against lumbering giants. Human tactical creativity combined with Kithra energy. Manipulation created battle strategies that the enemy could not predict or counter. The Soul's Pride was not fighting alone. The crystal networks connected it to the planetary defenses, to Veilthak's ancient knowledge, and to Nari's innovative thinking. 3 minds working as one, supported by technology that grew stronger with every challenge. As the battle raged, something unexpected happened. Other ships began arriving in the system. Some were human vessels responding to the Soul's Pride's distress signals. Others were Kithra forms emerging from hidden refuges, drawn by the harmony song of successful cooperation. The alliance was spreading, one ship and one partnership at a time. The successful defense of Kepler 442c becomes a turning point in galactic politics. Admiral Park Minho arrives expecting to find a threat, but instead witnesses the power of cooperation. The establishment of the Kepler Accords creates the first formal treaty between humanity and an ancient alien civilization, leading to a spreading network of cooperation that challenges the Zephyrian Empire and offers hope for a truly cooperative galactic civilization. The battle above Kepler 442c raged for 18 hours. When it ended, the ice world sky was filled with the wreckage of Zephyrian ships, while human and Kithra vessels moved together in perfect harmony among the crystal formations that now extended into orbit itself. Overlord, Thrakus found himself. The prisoner of forces he still did not fully understand. His flagship had been disabled not by superior firepower, but by energy patterns that turned his own weapons against him. His crew was alive and unharmed, captured by enemies who chose. Mercy over destruction. Captain Jinho stood on his bridge, amazed by what had been accomplished. The soul's pride had not just survived the battle. It had been transformed by its connection to the crystal networks. His ship was now more powerful than an entire human battle group had been before the integration. "Dr. Kim," he said through the communication link to the planet's surface, "what you and Velthek have created here changes everything. This is not just new technology. This is a new way of thinking about how species can work together." Admiral Park Minho arrived 3 days later with a fleet of 20 human ships, expecting to find either a victorious alien threat or the remnants of a defeated human force. Instead, he found something that challenged his understanding of warfare itself. The planet was protected by defenses that incorporated the best of human engineering and ancient Kithara wisdom. Human ships moved alongside crystalline entities that had once been hidden guardians of forgotten worlds. The energy readings from the planet showed power levels that made human reactor technology look primitive. Park's first instinct was to establish human control over the situation. These aliens, however friendly they appeared, possessed technology that could threaten human security if it fell into the wrong hands. But as he studied the tactical reports from the battle, he began to understand what Junho had discovered. The Alliance had not defeated the Zephyrians through superior weapons. They had won by creating something the enemy could not comprehend or counter. Cooperation had indeed proven stronger than consumption. Park's meeting with Nari and Velthak took place in the main conference room of his flagship. The ancient Kithara's presence aboard a human military vessel should have been impossible. But the crystal networks now connected the ship directly to the planetary systems. Velthak could manifest his consciousness anywhere in the network. "Admiral Park," Nari began, "what we have learned here could benefit all of human civilization. Clean, unlimited energy, faster-than-light communication, defensive systems that protect rather than threaten. But it only works through genuine cooperation." "And what does your partner want in return?" Park asked, studying the harmonic patterns that translated Velthak's communications. "Velthak seeks only what he has always sought: the preservation of life and the growth of harmony between species. The Kithara have no desire to dominate or control. They want to share knowledge and learn from others." Park had spent his career preparing for threats to human security. But this situation was unlike anything in his experience. The aliens possessed overwhelming technological superiority, yet they offered partnership instead of demanding submission. They had defeated a common enemy, yet they treated captured opponents with mercy rather than elimination. "What assurance do we have that your people will not use this technology against us in the future?" he asked Velthak directly. The ancient being's response appeared on the communication screens throughout the ship. "Admiral Park asks wise questions. Velthak cannot promise that all Kithara will choose harmony, just as Nari Friend cannot promise that all warm ones will choose cooperation. But we can choose to trust each other and build something better than what exists now." The negotiations that followed lasted for weeks. Representatives from a dozen human colonies arrived to witness the alien technology firsthand. Kithara from other hidden worlds emerged to participate in discussions about the future of their species. The debates were intense. Some human leaders feared that cooperation with advanced aliens would make humanity dependent on technology they did not fully understand. Some Kithara argued that sharing their knowledge with younger species would only lead to its misuse and eventual corruption, but the example of Nari and Velthak's partnership provided a powerful counter-argument. Their cooperation had created benefits for both species while harming neither. Their alliance had defeated a common enemy through strength that neither could have achieved alone. The breakthrough came when Dr. Song Hyun arrived with a team of scientists from the Colonial Research Institute. She had worked with Nari before the evacuation and understood her colleague's character better than the military commanders. Nari has always been someone who builds bridges instead of walls, Song told the assembled negotiators. If she believes this partnership can work, then we should trust her judgment. The potential benefits are too great to ignore out of fear. The formal signing of the Kepler Accords took place on the planet's surface, surrounded by the glowing crystal formations. That had made it all possible. Nari served as the first human ambassador to the Kithra, while Velthek became the primary liaison between their species and humanity. The treaty established protocols for awakening other dormant Kithra, sharing technology responsibly and jointly, defending against threats like the Zephyrian Empire. But more importantly, it created a framework for genuine cooperation between species with very different backgrounds and capabilities. Within months, the alliance began to spread. Human colonies that had struggled with energy shortages found themselves connected to crystal networks that provided unlimited clean power. Kithra, who had hidden in isolation for millennia, emerged to share their knowledge with curious human scientists. Each new partnership was unique, adapted to local conditions and the personalities involved. On some worlds, human engineers worked with ancient Kithra to restore damaged ecosystems. On others, human explorers helped awakened Kithra reconnect with lost colonies of their own people. The network grew stronger with each addition. Human adaptability allowed the crystal systems to evolve in new directions. Kithra wisdom helped human technology develop in sustainable ways that worked with natural systems rather than against them. But perhaps the most significant change was in how both species thought about their place in the galaxy. Humans began to see themselves not as conquerors of space, but as partners in a larger community of life. Kithra rediscovered hope that their ancient knowledge could help guide younger species away from the destructive paths that had nearly destroyed their own civilization. The Zephyrian Empire found itself facing a new reality. The alliance between humans and Kithra was spreading faster than they could contain it. Worlds that had once been easy targets for energy consumption were now protected by defenses that grew stronger under attack. Some Zephyrian commanders tried to adapt their tactics to counter the new cooperative strategies, but others began to question whether consumption was really the only path to strength. Overlord Thrakis, released as a gesture of good faith, returned to his people carrying stories of power achieved through sharing rather than taking. The first Zephyrian colony to join the alliance did so quietly in secret negotiations that took place on a neutral world. The local overlord had grown tired of the endless cycle of consumption and destruction. When offered the chance to learn sustainable energy generation, he chose cooperation over conquest. The defection sent shockwaves through the Zephyrian Empire. If the alliance could convert their own people, then the old ways of consumption and dominance were truly threatened. Some Zephyrian leaders called for total war against the growing cooperative network. Others began to consider whether their species might have something to learn from their former enemies. Nari and Velthak watched these developments from the observation deck of Harmony Station, the first joint human-Kithra space facility. The station orbited Kepler 442, like a jewel of crystal and metal, its design incorporating the best ideas from both species. "Did you ever imagine it would grow this quickly?" Nari asked her partner. Velthak hoped but did not dare to expect. 3,000 years of hiding made it difficult to believe in the possibility of true cooperation. But Small Worm One's courage made the impossible become real. Ships from dozens of worlds moved through the space around the station. Human vessels with crystal-enhanced systems worked alongside graceful Kithora forms that looked more like living art than spacecraft. Even a few converted Zephyrian ships could be seen, their dark hulls now glowing with the soft light of integrated crystal networks. What happens next? Nari wondered. Next, the Harmony Song spreads to new worlds and new species. Each partnership teaches us more about what cooperation can achieve. Perhaps someday the galaxy will know peace through understanding, rather than fear through domination. The communication systems brought news from across the expanding alliance. A human colony had successfully restored life to a world damaged by previous Zephyrian attacks. A group of awakened Kithra had helped a struggling mining operation develop sustainable extraction methods that improved the planet's ecosystem instead of damaging it. Most encouraging of all, reports were coming in of new species making contact with the Alliance. Beings that had hidden from the Zephyrian expansion were emerging from isolation, drawn by the promise of cooperation instead of conquest. Velfic, Nari said, I think we have done something more important than just saving ourselves. We have shown the galaxy that there is an alternative to endless conflict. Yes, two worlds became one future, but not through conquest or consumption. Through the recognition that diversity creates strength when combined with cooperation. The aurora lights danced in the planet's atmosphere below them, but now Nari could read their meaning. They were messages of hope, carrying the harmony song to distant worlds where other partnerships were forming. The network of cooperation grew stronger with each new voice added to the chorus. As they watched, a new ship appeared at the edge of the system. Its design was unlike anything either human or Kithara had seen before. The vessel broadcast a simple message in multiple languages. We have heard your harmony song. We wish to learn about cooperation. Nari smiled and activated the station's communication array. This is Harmony Station. Welcome to the Alliance. We have much to share with each other. The future stretched out before them, full of challenges and possibilities. There would be species that chose conflict over cooperation, worlds that preferred isolation to partnership. But the example of what humans and Kithira had achieved together offered hope that wisdom could overcome fear. That understanding could triumph over ignorance. Standing together on the observation deck, a human engineer and an ancient crystal being watched as ships from across the galaxy approached their station. Each vessel carried new opportunities for partnership, new chances to prove that cooperation really was stronger than conquest. The Alliance had begun with two individuals stranded on an ice world. Now it spanned hundreds of systems and included dozens of species. The harmony song that started with Nari and Velfic's friendship had become a symphony of cooperation that challenged the foundations of galactic civilization. Two worlds had indeed become one future, built not on dominance but on the simple recognition that different species working together could achieve wonders that none could accomplish alone.